Hey everyone, I've got a bit of an awkward story to share about my colleague Nora. It's one of those experiences that really sticks with you, a lesson she'll likely carry for a long time. Now, Nora is the picture of modesty, quiet, principled, the kind of person who always keeps her composure. Honestly, I never would have expected that beneath her calm, reserved exterior there could be any real surprises. Not too long ago, our team wrapped up a huge project, and to celebrate, the higher-ups decided to throw a corporate party. And when I say party, I mean it. This was something else. A fancy dinner at one of the most upscale places in the city. The evening kicked off as you'd expect, with some formal speeches and polite applause. But soon enough, it turned into a full-on celebration. Champagne was flowing. There were games and contests, and we danced until our legs felt like they might fall off. By the time the night wound down, we were all thoroughly exhausted but in high spirits. Most of us could barely keep our balance at that point. The management had thoughtfully arranged rides for everyone to get home safely. I remember that a lot of us were definitely a bit tipsy, and Nora, well, she could barely string a sentence together when she hopped into her cab. It was one of those moments where the words just weren't coming out right. She had trouble telling the driver where she lived. Yes, the street, simply, she muttered, looking flustered, clearly testing the driver's patience. Then, almost in a whisper, she added, "Look, this is house 10. What's so difficult about that?" And with that, she practically collapsed into the back seat just before the cab pulled away. Our boss leaned in and quickly told the driver, "Make sure she gets home all right." The next day, luckily, was a day off, which gave me a chance to recover and piece together the blurry memories from the night before. By Monday, we were all back at work, chatting excitedly about the party and reliving the best moments. But there was something off about Nora. She was sitting at her desk, unusually quiet, her eyes red and puffy, staring blankly at her computer screen. It was like she was completely drained, no energy left at all. "Nora, what's up? You look like you're still recovering. How did you even make it home last night?" her colleagues joked, trying to lift her spirits. But Nora wasn't having it. She avoided eye contact, kept her lips pressed tight, and didn't say a word. It wasn't until lunchtime that she finally broke down. Out of nowhere, she started crying and opened up to a nearby colleague, her voice shaky with emotion. I couldn't help but catch bits of her story. Turns out, Nora had no recollection of how she got home. The alcohol had erased everything from her memory. Instead of telling the driver her actual address, she accidentally gave him the address of her lover. "I knew I shouldn't have drunk so much," she said, her voice full of regret. "I started losing it after the first glass, but I never thought this would happen." And as it turned out, she ended up at Leo's place, the man she'd been seeing. Seeing her condition, he didn't ask any questions. He just helped her to bed and let her sleep it off. Nora, completely unaware of where she was, slipped into a deep sleep, fully convinced she was in the safety of her own bed. But suddenly, the shrill ring of a phone cut through her dreams, dragging her into a half-conscious state. It was so loud and persistent, Nora later recalled, that she had no choice but to pick up, mumbling in confusion, "Who on earth is calling at this hour?" On the other end of the line, a voice was practically shouting in anger. Still groggy and irritable, Nora assumed it was Leo, snapping in frustration. "Why are you calling me at home? What if my husband hears? I don't need drama like this right now." But then, as her blurry eyes shifted toward the man lying beside her, the full weight of reality hit her like a freight train. It wasn't her husband. It was Leo, and the voice on the phone unmistakably belonged to her husband. A tense silence filled the room, broken only by her husband's cold, biting words. "Got it. Looks like you're having a good time over there. Don't bother coming back." The sheer horror of her mistake settled in as Nora told the story, her voice shaking with the memory. "Wow, that's rough," one of her colleagues murmured sympathetically, shaking her head in disbelief. "And what happened next?" someone else asked, eager for more details. Nora exhaled deeply. "What do you think happened?" she replied, her voice heavy with regret. "I tried calling my husband, hoping to explain, maybe even lie if I had to. But he wasn't having any of it. He just hung up, completely heartbroken," Nora added. "Then I took my anger out on Leo, blaming him for everything, even though deep down I knew it was all my fault. After that, I packed my things and went home." The conversation with her husband, she said, had been brutal. Apparently, he had been suspicious for a while. Late nights at work, endless texts to a friend, everything had planted doubts in his mind. He wasn't actively hunting for proof, she admitted, but I made it too easy for him. The reality was, Nora had been involved with Leo even before her marriage, and the affair had never truly ended. "I always planned to end it," she sobbed. "I love my husband, but now it's over. Tomorrow, I'm moving back in with my parents. I've already packed." As I listened to her, I couldn't help but feel sympathy. It was an awful situation, no question about it. But there was this voice in the back of my mind nagging me. If you love someone, don't betray them. And if you can't control your drinking, maybe don't drink at all. Nora knew the risks. She understood the consequences. But in that moment, she couldn't stop herself. So in the end, who's really to blame here?